I'm still here. I'm just shutting the door.
Yeah, I know. Well, how was the interview?
That was pretty good. Still going on next door. So,
Yeah. Great.
so
I was on silence. Sorry. I am putting together all the pieces. I think what Roberto meant with environment was what you explained to me the first meeting about what we were talking an hour ago, I guess. And remember appliance, web server, etc., and so on.
we're
Uh,
creating a V app for you to test in, or
yeah, really. How so? Okay.
no? What I was wondering is, was he referring to
Oh,
you signing into the V Cloud, creating a V app that's got a bunch of machines in it, and then doing the install? So is that kind of what you're referring to?
no, 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 no. Actually, it wasn't. I was referring to the network diagram. Remember when you mentioned the appliance, the BA server, the tenant database, and so
Right.
on? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Do you see this diagram?
Mhm.
Yeah, this is the basic diagram you showed me the first session. I
Right.
think what he meant was to describe every every of these components. So I think this is pretty clear. But I have some questions because what I don't have very clear is where here do you I mean understood what you told me about the processes, the multiple sources, and so on. But here, how can I see where the data is inserted for a particular tenant? For ex- do you understand what I am
I
asking?
think so. And so if you remember right, the
Yep.
appliance, and it's called appliance.
Okay.
So that's getting the data and packaging it up and sending it to the service. So
Yeah.
really, the two main pieces here on the ETL side are the appliance and that project. And so
Okay.
that project is totally about reading the data from the sources and packaging up and making calls to the service. So if you open up main um, down under Java. Um,
Okay.
the services there are I believe, yeah, there's the batch service, the configuration service, and the init service. So those obviously are um, you know, you could argue that we didn't really need interfaces there, but really those are the ones that, and then their associated implementation classes are the ones that make the call to the service API.
Okay.
And the job under job is where we have the jobs. So you've got the way this is controlled is you have a sync job, which is the um, abstract base class, and so
Okay.
it does have implementation in it. But then we have two concrete types. We've got the LMS sync job and the IG sync job, and those are the ones that do their very specific things for reading the source data either from LMS or from IG.
Okay.
And then I believe the ETL job is the top level. I went through this in my when I went through the appliance. I kind of go into more detail. I'm trying to figure out what this one. This is probably you'd have to look through here, but I think this is the top level sort of a uh, task since it implements runnable. Can we go look at the run
Yep.
method?
Okay.
Just scroll down a little bit.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. Here.
Yeah, so this run method, I'm just trying to see. Um, oh, I know. Those sync jobs used to be runnable in and of themselves. And so what we used to have is we used to have a tenant job that would run, and it would contain a list of ETL or LMS and IG jobs. And so this kind of wraps that. So this is what runs when the job is actually kicked off. So it's an ETL job that we create, and it's got so it basically goes out to the configuration service. You can see that line where it says get ETL data sources. So it knows its job ID. It runs, and pretty much the first thing it does is it goes out and it says, "Give me all my data sources for my job." That's the I think it may contain the connection information as well to the source, and so you get this data source config that so you know where the source system is, and it has a list of the tables and columns that you're going to get, and then for each one of these, or basically there's a switch statement, but it's kind of like, hey, are you a IG job, or are you um, an LMS job? And so it creates this is really the factory that creates the appropriate type. And
Okay.
then all it does is call sync job run. And so it encapsulated what that sync job run used to be, the sub job that the tenant job would kick off a thread for each one of these, but there's only one in each one of these jobs now. It's not a list of jobs. And
Okay.
so really this ETL job is sort of the top level entry point where it goes out and it gets the data source information, figures out what type of job it is, creates the appropriate type, and then calls run on it. And then it's just like the old one from there. So that's the purpose of ETL job. Um, that is the job that runs in the cron scheduler, and then that's what this does is it generates the concrete type and then calls run on it.
Okay. Okay.
So
Um.
so so
Yeah.
you could argue that those old sync jobs don't need to implement runnable anymore because they're not scheduled like this. So, but we just left them that way, and we just call run directly on them. So that's really and then I think that's really the top part of it. There is it's probably under scheduler. That's that top level thread that constantly goes and gets sees if there's changes to the job. It's down under, it's the ETL job loader and the sync job scheduler. And I'm trying to remember, I think sync job scheduler may be no, it's not the main entry point, but that's the thing that main calls is basically the sync job scheduler. And then it's up to that and the ETL job loader. Um, yeah, this implements runnable. So the ETL job loader is the thing that's loaded by the sync job scheduler. It's sort of the bootstrap code, and it gets everything going. And it's a
Yes.
scheduler that then will update and reschedule jobs. If you look at the bottom, it like gets rid of ones that um, aren't active anymore or aren't there. So we, the refresh scheduled jobs basically calls out to the configuration, says, give me my list of jobs. It removes inactive ones and it updates active jobs or inserts.
Okay. Okay.
So that's
Well.
kind of the high level.
Yeah.
Um, Go ahead.
No. 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 Go ahead.
Oh, so
You go
so
ahead.
this is the high level one, and so really it's in those concrete classes and the sync job that the real work is done of getting the data, batching it, and those call out to batch, insert on the service, and complete, and um, so that's kind of what it calls. If you look at the implementation class under there, that's where the real work is done for like send batch, and that's where we make the restful call out to the service
Where can I see that?
in the implementation folder. the impl.
Oh, okay. Here.
Yeah. And so here you've got, there's the method send batch. And like I said, a lot of this fluff around here is logging and stuff. You kind of have to go down farther into this method to see where it actually calls it. So, right, you call, basically it's that batch repository send. So you got sent data sets, you basically get, I don't, oh, so that's really logging if trace is enabled, but it's really this call, basically it sets up a response item and then it calls send and then it returns your response item from that. But that, basically that batch repository send then calls up under, if you saw services and repositories, I didn't come up with this, but this thing basically calls into repository. Repository is where it actually does the call. So above scheduler on the left.
Here. You mean here?
No, just up above that in repository.
Okay. Sorry.
Again, you see the interfaces, but the implementation is where you're actually concerned with. So implementation.
Yep.
Batch repository. And then if we look at this one, we'll see there's a send method, and then you scroll down into that a little bit. You'll see we grab the start time, we create a response message, and then a little bit farther down, if you go farther down in that, we're making retry counts. So we've wrapped this whole thing in a retry, but there should be a, well, we get the watermark. Where is the, I'm having trouble seeing it, where we actually, I think it's up a little bit in this file. We validate the message. Oh, sorry, this is all about getting the watermark. It must be farther down in this where we actually send it. So, oh, it's got to be in there somewhere. I'm just missing it. String.
I don't think here, right?
No, it's up in that main. It's in that main send loop where we do call subroutines. We get. Oh no! So it had to have been above where we got the watermark out of the response. So we test the response code. So we've already done. It's up a little bit higher. So we test for mismatch. We test the response code. Can you scroll up just a little bit?
Yep.
So we validate. Yeah, it's we get the REST template and then we call post for object. So it's right under the try. And then the rest of that is really testing what we got back and retry logic and logging. So it's really just that first try line where we actually send the response through the REST template.
Okay. About the testing. I'm sorry. I wanted to ask you, when you showed me the test, the database test, you mentioned, yes. Yeah, you showed me unit test. No, this is not either. No, this cannot be. Yeah, okay. For example, this one.
Right.
Do you, when is it run? When does it run this? Every night?
No, it's actually the DB unit tests are not run by the build server. So we run those as developers manually after we make changes to the database project.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It would be nice to get those. It would be nice to get those into the build.
Yeah, because I'm actually I'm thinking again what happens. No, I don't think your transformations are the same. It's it's natural for me to think about the numbers. What happens if a number of the data warehouse is not the same than what is supposed to be on the source? Again, we're
Right.
yeah,
So this is like dumping into the staging table, right, for
yeah,
attending. And
yeah.
and so I've commented kind of, there's your first one, there's your second one. Um, sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
for the same check. So that's what the second line is. You've got a different check. You have a duplicate entry,
yep.
and then you have a third check. You've got one with incomplete data. It's missing tender amount.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I guess so. Um,
Take your time. Take your time.
I need my. I ran out of water. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go. Grab some water.
no, I'm okay.
Okay.
So what this test is doing is setting up initial transaction into the staging database with um, different kind of, there's missing tender amount, there's no processing code, invalid missing ID, for there's no ID, there's missing check server dimension. Uh, I'm trying to see on that one.
Invalid missing check
I'm
record.
CSD, missing CSD dimension. I'm trying to see which one that is. It's, uh, oh, so it's got like, I'm not sure what that one is, 110. And then missing, it's missing a check record. So there's, um, it's not going to have a 2000 check. Because I also, there's seed data where I loaded POS check data. Like you'll notice up above that slash I seed data, POS check sales. So I've added various data already into the system, into some of the other tables, and then basically I'm, so I insert my check tender information, and so then I'm gonna check that certain things are equal,
Yeah.
select count. So I'm checking my count of rows, make sure that it's got 10 rows in there, and then looking for the processing codes in a certain state. And I said I should have 9 of those, and then I'm going to call. I'm going to call the first transform. And so I did these where for a table, I go through a list of the transforms, and then after I run each one, I'm expecting like initialize to set all my processing codes to 0. So I've got 10 of them. And then, and maybe a better test would have been even to add some other records that were for a different data source in there. But then I call dedupe, and then it's like I'm expecting that I've deduped that there's 2 dupes in there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because I'm doing a count looking for processing. Oh, looking for processing code 2, and so I'm expecting that would be 1. That I would have 1 dupe in there. That's the array 1, and
Okay.
then I would look at the other processing code, test for invalid date count. I've got 1 of those. So 1 got set to 2. 1 row got set to processing code ID equal 2. 1 row got set to -4, invalid data count. And so, then I call the next tender match ID, and then I'm doing more checks against this, right? That I'm expecting either no counts for called data count, basically looking at the processing codes, because that's what a lot of this does. Is we go down and we do the where we do the upsert. So that was a match ID, and then when we do the upsert, I'm looking to see what gets put into that table, right? And then and so this particular test, once we do all these, I dump more data in, some of it new, some of it old, and make sure that it picked up the, so farther down in this test, we'll see where I update, um, so what am I doing? I'm updating post check sales, changing the meal period item, and then I dump some more data in there at the bottom, and then I run through the set of transforms again to make sure that it updated or inserted rows correctly
Okay.
according to what that set of transforms does. So this is just how I wrote the unit tests.
Uh-huh.
But a person could do potentially more unit tests against this
No, no,
if they
no.
wanted.
So summarizing this test run every time a change is made, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes. Well, so I typically when I make a change to the database, then I'll run all my unit tests again to make sure I haven't broken anything.
Yeah. Okay. So
And
every test must be run.
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
and that's what that Gradle target does is runs all the unit tests. And
Okay.
I think it's
Which one?
um,
At the right. On the right.
yeah. Sorry,
No, no problem.
I got to quit drinking, I guess.
It happens.
So down under it's under build local D. Scroll down a little bit. Run unit test and run unit test config. It was in the database.
Yeah.
It's under build local DB. I think. Second one down.
Yeah.
And then it's at the two at the bottom, run unit test and run unit test config.
Ah. Okay. Okay.
And then for our unit tests that we have on the appliance and stuff, those do get run every time the build happens because those are groovy unit tests.
Okay.
And they happen every time you do a build locally as well.
Okay. Okay. What else? What else? What else? Would you show me where are you inserting the data for a particular tenant?
So that's down in the service project.
You mean where? Here.
Service. Yep.
Here. Yep. Oh, okay.
And so this one, if you start at rest
Okay.
and just open up the
Implementation.
no, I think the other one, just to start with. So that's where the RESTful endpoints are defined, right? Via the path. And so you'll see that, it's whatever the base URL / data initialize. And then you'll see that you'll see the initialize, upload, and complete, which were the original ones, and the ones added for configuration to get certain things. There's get appliance configuration. So that's /config appliance, and you pass in an appliance ID. So that's the REST, and those are get. So the top three are posts with payloads. The bottom three are just HTTP GET commands, and then they call the appropriate appliance configuration, passing in the appliance ID, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
And likewise, config appliance, where you pass in an appliance and a data source. Schedule params. I'm trying to see on that one. Oh, so it's appliance. It's again, it's the same thing, but it's got a slightly different path where you're basically saying my appliance ID and then data source schedules. That's not a parameter, right? That's just part of the URL. And so what that does is passing in the appliance ID, it gets the rest of the job information. So those do two slightly different things. The top one basically says, "Hey, I'm this appliance," and it returns basically the schedules and the job ID and the job name if you look at what gets returned. And then the second one is actually, oh no, I'm sorry, that one that says data source schedules, that's the one that returns the schedules. The other one gives you the actual configuration. You have to look at what they actually return. But then that bottom one, you're basically saying, hey, config ETL data source. This ID, you're getting the ETL, a particular ETL data source. So we kind of broke it up in this method. When data complete gets called, the the fourth one up from the bottom, that's what triggers the transforms. Um, and so we can go in and see what actually. The way I typically go in is I look at this and it's like, oh, I want to look at the complete message. I then go into that one that you've got highlighted, and
You
then
mean
I go down and I
you mean
look at the
this?
call. Yeah. So there's the upload one. Um, and so you asked about upload. This is the entry point where stuff actually gets uploaded. They pretty much all do the same thing. The first thing they do is they create a response object. They do message validation. This one, uh, and then it calls upload data, and then it validates the return response and leaves. So then if you go into, and you see it's analytic service upload data, so then you go over into the service um, class on the left, and it go into the implementation and go into upload. So it's down below get watermarks. So upload, let me see, so you're up, so if you go down a little bit, we look at the upload data. Basically, it creates the batch server, the real response that we're going to create, and then out of the request, it gets the data source name, the schema type, gets the tenant, um, the tenant repository, JDBC connection. So it gets the template, um, it gets the tenant connection information. And we have to do some kind of interesting stuff here because it's Postgres and we're going to use the PG, one of the Postgres, it's a copy command within Postgres, but we're basically, creating our response object that we're going to return. We're then out of the request getting the data source to type. We're getting the template and connection information. And then we get the data source ID from the data source. We then, for each of the data sets that came in from the request, we're going to go through each one of these. And so we grab the, um, so this is each of the data sets. So you could potentially send more than one data set in here. And then within those are the rows. And then we basically process the rows. That's the second for loop, the datum, data set, get data. And then we basically get the, if there are any additional properties. And then we basically are creating this query. We process any additional parameters. We add that query to our query list, and then we basically, in this insert, we do some stuff with the watermarks, and we set our last watermark in the response object. I'm just trying to see. So if our watermarks, so if our watermarks aren't equal, like from what's in the database to what we said in our message was the last watermark, we don't process this message. That's what that if CIPWM statement is we're basically saying, you know, um, if your previous watermark isn't the same, like if your last watermark in the database isn't the same as your previous watermark in your in the database, so you're comparing the message to the database, and they better be equal. Otherwise, you might have missed a message, and so we stop processing. But if it passes those tests, we go ahead and do a batch insert, and it's that generic DAO batch insert that actually does the insert into the database.
Okay.
So this is all processing the received message, getting it ready, and then it's that, and so you're passing into that basically the name, the data source, the table, watermark columns, and this is what's going to then get called on the or not called, but this is so if you highlight batch insert there and then do the go to definition, it's like Control B or something.
Declaration.
Implementation is fine.
Implementation. Okay.
So this is what actually does the batch insert. And so we get the connection out of the template. And you'll notice we call data source util. So we do some sort of stuff on that. There's something that happens in here, I think. So if we scroll down a little bit, I don't know why yours is underlined in red. But we get the connection. Oh, so I believe we go out to the database and we get the column names, and then and so we get a list of column names, and then we build this up, right? Copy column names or table name, and then we join a common delimited list of column names. And then we create this byte input stream. This is also, we can use that copy command. And then basically you call get copy manager on the connection. You copy in the SQL that you built up. So we're building this SQL text file up in this stream and passing that stream to the copy manager copy in method. Okay. And that's a bit, this little section with this copy manager is a little bit of black magic that happens. Normally, it's if you were using a different database, you would potentially build up all the inserts and call batch update or something, But we're actually using Postgres's copy because it was a lot faster to dump it in that way. So we build that stream with all the values. So the column names, and then basically you see that create copy buffer passing in the column names data sets into that byte array input stream. That's where all the data gets dumped into that stream, and then you call the copy manager.
Okay.
And then you go ahead and update the watermark. So it's kind of a two-phase thing, and on one of those sequence diagrams, you'd see where we write into the staging database, and then right after that, if everything was successful, we update the watermarks in the database. And then if something dies right at this point, like let's say the message doesn't go back or whatever, when the job starts again, it will know that it actually got all that data. But there is a possibility that if it stopped before you updated the watermarks, you'd end up getting that data again when the job reruns, and hence why we have to deduplicate and things like that.
Okay.
But that's really where it copies it in, and that's kind of how I go through. I kind of start at that top level and work my way down through the methods.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. And
the update one is the only one where we use the copy buffer because it's dealing with a large amount of data. and we had to do some special things with that Get Copy Manager. As you can see, you take the connection and you call, you're basically looking into it and saying, is there a copy API? Grab that, and then you do that raw connect operation. And so it was kind of some magic that to get that thing, to get the copy to work. All the others don't use this way of breaking into the C3PO connection and trying to get the method on it, and then calling, raw connection, casting it to a copy manager, that sort of thing. We had to do some special stuff to actually do that on the Postgres driver. So this copy wouldn't work if you changed to like SQL Server.
Okay.
But that's really the only kind of, if I remember right, the sort of weird, and then this thing below it, the create copy buffer. That's that's for putting the data in into that stream. So you see it returns a byte array stream, right? So, and here we basically just go through every row in the data set, every column in the data set, sticking stuff into that byte array stream. So, fairly typical stream processing type stuff.
Okay.
And again, I don't know why because you built this whole thing before, so I don't know why it says it's all red for you.
Can you repeat?
Well, it looks like
don't know.
it looks like it's got a bunch of red things along the edge, like it doesn't want to compile. But I'm pretty sure you built this before, didn't you?
Yeah. I did. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And then these are just some extra ones for calling into the database to get watermarks and stuff like that. So this generic DAO impl class is all the classes that actually interact with the tenant database.
Okay. Actually, now that you mention about the build, if the build is correct, I should be able to run this, right?
Well, but that's just database unit tests. If you actually want to
Yeah.
test the entire build, go to the very top
Yeah.
and then open up the analytics main.
Yep. The
Top one.
Yeah.
And then just do a build from there.
Yeah. I should do it again, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't take too long because I think you've already pulled down a lot of the stuff.
Yeah. But now that now that we're mentioning the build and stuff, I haven't started my Git repository. I probably should do that.
Sure. Now,
Yeah.
you can do it from in here. I figured out how to do it, right? If you go
Yeah.
to VCS
I
and then,
Can I do it from here?
yes. So if you look at the branches, right?
Yep. Now
And
this
so if you want to get master, right? Or the one that we were going to work on, yeah. So that,
one.
yes. So what are the options there? Check out a local, yep.
You're already on branch. Blah blah blah.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
I am already on that.
Right. So,
So I should go to, but to here. Let me just 1 second, please.
yeah, no worries.
Here. Should be here.
Right, down at the bottom.
Yep. And I should change this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I think what we wanted was item sales dash V2 daily. So
What
then
did you say?
no, right before the dash.
Oh,
So you
right.
want to change the caption to item sales V2
Yeah,
daily.
yeah. I know, but how do I change this? Should I press insert or not?
Oh, are
Yeah.
these read only for you? Oh,
No,
okay.
no, no. Okay.
And then probably in the description as well. Just
Yep.
make the description exactly the same.
Yep. Right here.
Yeah. Yep.
Should I save it?
I think it automatically saves it. Notice how it turned it blue in the name.
Yep.
So so now go change the other two. The other two
Okay. Oh, oh yeah.
item sales hourly and item sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
It's so funny because it takes it a while for you to actually be able to see it because it's kind of pixelized until you stop. You know.
Yeah. I know.
It's amazing that the screen share works as good as it does.
It's amazing thing what the Google guys have done.
And so
No.
I think now if you go back up to VCS,
Okay. Where is BCS?
top menu, top menu item VCS,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
and then commit changes.
Oh, commit. Oh, should I do a git
I see it.
status or something?
No, I think on the not down, like up at the top, there's commit file, but I think there's commit changes in the menu item to the left of where you are right now. There's that. Like, no, it's still in VCS, but it's the first drop down menu of VCS. There's commit changes, which is
Here.
yes,
But is this right into my local repository or the remote?
yeah. Commit is going to commit them
Okay,
locally.
locally. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it tells you.
great.
Yeah, and then you can also. Um,
Oh, a
this is
commitments.
where you need to go AA dash 26, whatever it was. You want me to look it
Yeah,
up?
yeah, yeah. My issue name, right?
Yeah.
My
So
bug name.
yeah, let me just look it up for you. It's
Thank
AA
you.
dash 2642.
What am I doing? Okay, right here. AA. What word?
Now I got to look it up again. 2642. So AA dash 2642. And then you type in something after that, like updated the check item Mondrian cubes to have a V2 caption, something that sort of described. Yeah. Yeah. And so then can you press the down arrow by commit on that button so that we know down at the bottom, the button at the, so
Details.
you, no, the commit button. Can you
Oh,
just don't click the button? Yeah. So commit and push will actually push it back to the repository.
yeah.
You could do it in two steps, but commit's just going to go locally.
Yep.
Commit's going to commit it locally and then push it to the repository.
Okay. Should I do it locally?
No, I do a commit and push. I mean, these are, and then this,
Oh, and I am under this branch.
yeah,
So I
yep.
push it. Password. What? Uh, uh, I think this is about some access you or some guy over there should
No,
grant me.
this is
I don't
requested
think
by,
I don't think this is my my root password, right?
To unlock the master password is required to unlock the password database. The password database will be unlocked during this session for all
But
subsystems. I wonder if this is your
oh,
Git.
yeah, might be this. Okay. Yeah, it was.
Okay. So this should kick off a build. So now what you want to do, now that you've done the work, you've committed it locally, you pushed it to your branch, we need to go into stash.
Yeah.
And so here we would, over on the far right next to clone is pull request. So let's go ahead and hit pull request.
Okay. My password. Blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah.
Oh, it's
Actually,
very
I have this memorized by, but I'm too lazy. Okay, okay. Uh,
okay. So now you want to select the branch. So the source is your branch, and it should be the first one.
yeah.
So you click that, you want to go to master, and then you can edit this later if you want to. So that's correct on the destination. You could go to other branches if it was something else, but you want to put the reviewer. So you want to put like my name in there, and it should come up.
How
Uh,
much?
probably just type Crasser,
Okay. Oh, great.
and then just for grins, why don't we put Acharya, ACH. Uh,
Here.
yeah, yeah, we'll put Ravi there, and that's probably good. And so now you can create the pull request.
Okay.
And so, like, if I go to, so why don't I share my screen and show you? Because now you're
Yep.
waiting for stuff. So I'll just share my screen.
Yep.
Um, and so I will go over to pull requests. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so I go to pull requests, got to log in. And so here's the one you just did.
Hmm.
And you should do this for mine on the current watermark too. So when we go back, you can do yours. So I'm looking at this. It's like, okay, let me look at the diff. And then I'm looking at item sales. And it's got, it shows me the V2 in both those. Um, I see it there. I see it here. Now maybe, just for grins, what I want to do is we'll just confirm the login here. And we'll confirm that I have the old ones, and
Just
then
for the record, what environment are you seeing? What
so
test environment or pre-production or what?
it's my vCloud box where
Okay.
I have the BA server installed. So if I hit create new analysis report, um, I'm going to see the old ones, right? Uh, items, right?
Yep.
I see the old ones. Um, I do see this one that I changed, right? Um, but item sales daily. I think that's another one that I changed just for grins. But I see, so this is what I see. So we're going to come back into this. I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to go over here. Um, I think this is your branch. It shows me that there's one change in there. I'm going to pull this down into my environment. And I'm just doing it a little different way. I could do it from
Oh, you're pulling the branch so you can see it on your local development environment, right?
right, and I already have a change here, so I'm going to discard this. Is it reset? You sure want to discard your change? Yes, I want to
Is
discard
that
my
a
change.
hard reset or something?
It's in my local branch. So this thing that's highlighted this is my local branch. And I went up to file status and it showed me I had an open change. Um, and so I got rid of that change. And that's why my pull did not work, is because it would have overwritten my changes. So now when I do it, I don't have any changes. It pulls your changes down. Um, and so now I'm up to date. This shows me that I'm up to date. I've got no current changes. I'm going to flip over to IntelliJ. We're going to look at the cubes just for grits and shins. We'll open this up. And look, there's your changes, right? In daily, hourly. This just is showing you that it did pull those changes down. So what I'm going to do is, just for testing, I'm going to go to Manage Data Sources. I'm going to go to Daily. Oh, and I can see I only have Daily in here, so I'm going to have to add the other ones. So I'm going to pick, it's not under Licenses. Got to find it. It's under Cubes. Item Sales Daily. Okay, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to, since I don't have the other ones, I'm going to add Analysis Cube, hourly. So I have daily and hourly now. I'm going to add another one, Analysis Cube. And if I was really doing this, I'd add those other things to it. Okay, I would. I'd add those other parameters down here, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna add that one. So now we see I have the old item sales and I have daily, hourly, and monthly. Now if I go into create new, I should see
The new
item
caption.
sales. Yeah, so there's those three, right? I've also got these ones, which those I believe are actually coming from a different cube I loaded when they were all together. Those are the old ones. So these three are the old ones that comes from the item sales cube, and this comes from the item sales daily cube, item sales hourly, and it's got V2. So looks good to me. Does that make sense? Why I'm
Yeah.
seeing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So then I'm going to go to your pull request, and it's like, no, I like that. So I'm going to approve, and then go ahead and if we look at the pull requests that are active, you can see that I've checked off, and we only require one right now. So why don't you take control of the screen, and go to Stash again, and you can approve my request, and then you can merge your request.
Yep. Yeah. It's kind of confusing the first time, but I'm trying to get the whole idea.
Okay, so if you share your screen,
Yeah.
we'll just walk through it.
Yeah.
There it goes.
I think I think one of us should put on mute. Maybe that would be me. Let me try.
I don't think that makes a difference. Okay, so I see two screens there. So if you go, yep, looks good. And so here you go, you click on pull requests, and you should see my pull request and then yours. And since you're more interested in yours, we can click on that one. And so then, hey, it's approved, no comments. Then you can go ahead and click the merge button up in the sort of upper right. Down, yeah. So then you go ahead and merge. And I think this brings up, yeah, this says, hey, this is where you want to merge your branch back into master. And that's what you want to do. You can say delete source branch after merging, and that'll just delete that source branch. Sometimes we do that. Other times I go back in and clean up a lot of the remote branches. So it's not bad to have that, if you're like, I'm not going to come back into this branch, that might be a good thing to do to clean things up. But, later I go back in and I clean up my branches or branches I know we've already done with, later. So when you're happy with this, you click merge, and that's it. And then you go back to like pull requests, and you can review my pull request then. And so no, that's not mine. That's Ryan. So mine is the bottom one. So yours is gone. Yours is actually in that merge tab. If you wanted to see where it went, you could look in that merge tab. But then this one, so yours should be at the top of this list. So there it is. So there's a history of all the merged ones and declined ones. But if you go back to open, and we can look at the open pull requests, that's mine. Probably what you want to do then is go look at the diff. You can look at, comments on here, like Ryan had some comments at the outside. And then on the left, you have the 2 files that were changed. If it was more complex, there'd be more files there. And if it's bold, like the TenantDB one, that means you haven't looked at it. And now you've looked at both of them. So you see, oh, in the tenant database, I put in a new method called reset data sources, or reset data source sets the data source to null, so that it forces. I call that at the end of an ETL job run, so that next time the job runs, it's forced to. And if you click at the top, see those little dotted lines at the top and bottom of the code block? You can either click there to see more around the. That's how you put a comment in. If you click that, you see more code up above. You can also click, I think, something to the far right. Those dots, I think, allow you to, either the dots or the thing next to it at the top bar, allow you to do side-by-side diffs. I think one of that little document will take you to the entire document. So it allows you to kind of view the diff in different ways, which is kind of helpful. So you see we created this new data source, and then if you look at the job.java, you can see that I actually then call it in the top level of the job method. And right there. So where we actually, right before we unlock it, we call the configuration TenantDB reset data source. And I did actually put a comment in there about the bug that it was tied to. But that's where we call it. And since you're seeing more of the code, you can actually like scroll up and see that this is in the job run method or whatever it is. Yeah. And so it's at the top level. When the job gets done, it says call that and cancel out that data source. And that was the fix. And you are on mute, so I can't hear you. Just got Jose on the line. What's up? I said possible. I just, for that level, it seemed like he wanted something. Yeah.
Is it even worthwhile? So I asked him to do his example, right? He has a flat file. which consists of, click information. He's doing an ETL on that. It didn't. It seemed to have data for only 300 customers, so I don't think it's a big file. Then he does an ETL, and it ends in a key value store.
Right.
Not even a data warehouse, not even a,
It's just like name value pairs, and then they probably run some sort of a search across.
Is that a viable solution that you're doing ETL on a flat file to get to a key value pair or react, whatever that is?
I mean, it's possibly, but I mean, it seemed like he was doing little data.
Yeah.
And
he put it as an afterthought, and he said, and here's ETL, whatever, ETL.
Yeah.
So like, where is it end? Where is it starting? Where is it ending? There are no relational databases. I don't know. And then he mentioned Postgres, but it wasn't in his resume. So I thought maybe he heard the word from you.
No, he mentioned that on something else. So.
Okay. I was like, Jed was probably better.
Yeah. From that aspect. And he's still available.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is not.
They made you a lead, and then so you weren't looking for a lead. And now you're leading. When you would have started looking for a lead like 3 months ago. Like, no, make Robert a lead. Make Robert a lead. He's great. He's awesome. Make you a lead. And now you're looking for a lead again.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'll come say bye before I leave.
Okay.
Jose, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
So back
I'm
to
not
where we
gone.
were.
Yeah. Go on.
Back to where you would. So on that pull request, if you like it, then you would go ahead and approve it. Which is on the far right-hand side above the people. And then you can actually, normally I would merge it or something, but we're both here, so you can just click merge, do the same thing. It's merging this branch into master. Now remember, you're sort of merging behind the scenes, and so you would want to probably go pick up the changes that were made to master. So like if you went back to IntelliJ, you'd probably, and you wanted to look at master, you'd probably go pull changes from master into your local branch. So, the VCS, you'd want to go to branches, right? Like if you wanted to switch to master and then click on, master. So you want to check that out. And then I think you want to go back to VCS and say pull. Is it update project? Maybe it's update. Yeah, pull. And then it should have master selected. Remote branch, analytics. So is master selected in this? Scroll down a ways in that list. Oh yeah, current branch master. So I think that should be, you're not merging any branches. You just want to pull changes from the current branch master. That's all you want to do, yeah. I think that's right. And you can tell, so it updated.
I'm sorry, 13 items updated. Why?
What did it update? The cubes, DAS. Oh, because you haven't pulled since I made changes to DAS. So like if you looked at the license, yeah, because I did licenses and stuff. So pick one of the ones I did, like that DAS main Java com, and take a look at that one. So I think you can just double click it. And this should have, if you scroll down and look at run in the finally block, so a little bit farther down, there's the stuff I put in, right? That we just checked into master. So you've got the latest now. So that pull command on master basically brought down all the latest changes. So you're up to date with master, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Okay. And then one of the things, and it will take a little while, but you can run, if you run build, it will rebuild the whole project right here. And it takes, I don't know, 5-10 minutes or something.
Last time it took about 50 minutes.
Yeah, it should not take that long now. See, it's not having to pull down all that stuff. It will have to redo the BA server stuff, but it's all doing it locally, so it should happen fairly fast. So there it's running the appliance test code. You've gone offline.
Me? No, no, no.
It was
This
just
is-
that thing.
this
That was
this
somebody
was
else.
this was some guy named Jair Lopez.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see. You can tell my eyesight's failing. Plus, it's hard to see your screen, especially when it's doing that.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so now it's doing the bootstrap, so on and so. But what it's not doing is it's not having to. I don't believe it. You should see any of those lines where it says it's downloading a bunch of stuff. Oh, that's just, yeah. So the business analyzer does take a little longer to run because it's unzipping everything. It's applying stuff over the top and it's rezipping it back up or rewiring it. So those take a little bit longer, but it didn't have to download those huge zip files originally. So when you first ran it, it took a while because it was doing that. And now it's just, it's already got them in cache and there's no change. So it's just it doesn't have to download anything from Artifactory. So I think that's really what took you the long time before. And as far as the whole build, this business analyzer part is the one that I think takes the longest. So once this gets through there, it should go a little quicker. I still don't quite know why you're like Java here and generic DAO implementation, why some of those have red, looks like it doesn't want to compile inside of IntelliJ correctly. So now it's doing DAS, running the DAS tests. I think sometimes DAS takes a little longer because there may be like some weight things in there. I'm not sure. Like if it's testing timeouts and then, like sets a timeout and then is testing some of the retry logic stuff. Kind of would have thought it would have gone. So there, yeah. Data generator, compiling the Groovy, data validator. Database scripts, packaging it up, packaging the licensing, Tahoe custom code. And there, all done. So 4 minutes.
Great.
So that kind of took you through, you know, from before where you created um, the Jira. You know, we finally got it. So why don't you go over to the Jira board and make sure you assign that to yourself? So that's kind of the last thing. So here, go ahead and assign it to yourself. So click on it, and then over here on the right-hand side, click on the, so click on the AA2642. Is that right? There should be like a, I don't think you can edit this. Oh, you have to log in. Go back a screen. And then go ahead and log in. And so now, see those ellipses, those three little dots? Go ahead and click on those three little dots on the right, next to the AA, yeah. And then say assign. Say assign to me. And then okay, or assign. So now it's assigned to you. Your happy face should show up on it. And then go ahead and grab it and drag it into in process. And then we did work on it, so go ahead and drag that over into done. Resolve. And then this is where you put in the resolution and hopefully some, so this would be like fixed, and then a comment say, you know, changed, updated, you know, per Ravi, the item sales daily, monthly, hourly cubes to have V2. So it was easier to differentiate between the old cubes and the new cubes, something like that. And then I'm going to move this into, I'm going to move, oh, that's yours. I'm going to move mine over and do the same thing while you're doing that one. I fixed mine, fixed version, Babbage, 1 hour, object for while you were doing yours, I just moved mine over into in test. So like if you refresh the screen, you'll see mine will move over too. Yep, so mine's over there, and so that's how test knows to pick them up. But like they've already tested them, and they move them into complete. So that's kind of the whole process of the way we pick up tasks out of the sprint, move them over, you know, move them into in process, create a branch, you know, get that branch locally, do our work, push it back, you know, check it in and push it back. And you know, a person may go through several like pushes as they're doing development. You might even do a pull request early, even though you're not done, so that other people can look at it and make comments. and then when it's finally done, like let's say I had comments on your code, and then you went back and changed things, pushed new changes, that would be reflected in the active pull request. And then finally I'd go, okay, that's good, I like it, I'd approve it. Then you'd get notified in the mail. You would then do the merge, and then you would copy that over, move the JIRA over into done. So that's kind of the process that we do. I can't think of anything else really around that. So what I would do from here is when Ravi's ready to deliver this, I'll basically go to Bamboo, pull the ISO down that was built and tested, and then I would create the artifacts out on the CM Share server. And then he would write the transfer to hosting document that the guys pick up. So do you have access to Bamboo? Can you go to Bamboo? I think I sent you the link. If not, let me just go over to Bamboo. It is copy that, go back to Hangouts and copy it in our thing. Bamboo is a build server. Did that go to you? Did you get it? Okay, so Analytics Snapshot Build Master, the third one down, is where you want to go. I suppose you could look at 384, so 385 is currently being built, and so that's the one that we'd go to. But let's look at 384. So if you click on 384, that's the actual build from 3 days ago.
Got it. I'm going to pick the kids up and drop them.
Okay, see you tomorrow. And so if you go to Artifacts tab, and then so that's where you can download the ISO that was built. And that's everything that we need. So what I would do is I would pull that down. I would mount the ISO and pull out the cubes from it, and then so I would actually put out for this particular, since it's sort of a hot fix, I drop the new ISO there. I would also drop just the cubes, because part of their steps are going to be, grab the cubes and upload them into the appropriate BA servers for the ones that they have. So they're going to have some manual steps. But a lot of times that is our deliverable, is that ISO that got built, and that's how you get to it. So obviously I would do it from the build that's just being built right now. So have you been able to get VirtualBox installed? Okay. Are you thinking that you're going to be able to? So that's the only two things that I see really, is VirtualBox, so that you can use Vagrant locally, which is helpful. Well, I thought what I'll say, because I'm gonna leave here shortly. I've got a video on using Vagrant, and so maybe take a look at that. Decide if I know you had trouble last time when you were installing VirtualBox. Yeah, it's on Confluence. It's in that development videos. Do you need the link to it again? Okay. Anyway, there's one that's got Vagrant, and I just briefly go through and I show the Vagrant file and then how to use it. Hopefully, it's pretty self-explanatory. And tomorrow we can on mine go through an install. But the other thing is, and Roberto has done this, is log on to the vCloud. Make sure that you can log on and create your vApp with the template. There's a template that's got it's analytics. Hang on, let me find the name of it. I got to log on here, and let me know if you need it's the iCloud Infogenesis link, but let me know if you need it. I'm not looking at your screen right now. Wrong. Okay. In the Catalogs tab, there is vApp templates, and I believe it's the Analytics 2.3 Babbage one that you want. And what you do is you, trying to remember what we do here. So if you're in Analytics and you're in My Cloud, and then I think you, vApps, there's a plus sign, and you can say Add vApp from Catalog, and you pick that template. So let me go back to see your screen. Oh, yeah, you've got your... Why don't you unmute? Don't you want to talk to me anymore?
Of course I want. Oh my God, you made me laugh. Okay, so actually, I don't know where to go from.
So it looked like you were... So you saw that. Were you able to get into the vCloud? I thought you were just there, but maybe not.
No, actually, it wasn't.
So do you know where the vCloud is? Do I need to...
Actually, I don't.
Okay, so hang on. Let me copy this and make sure that you can log in there.
Thank you.
So I will put it in here. That's the vCloud. That is, I believe, also on that page, that video page, and just
this.
it's not a video, but it's down near the bottom is the vCloud stuff. Yeah, so once you're in here, then this would be. Did you get set up with this?
Nope. It's the first time I access here. Oh, what? I think this should work. So, but yep.
I don't know. I don't know if you may not have been set up on the vCloud. So I'll send Jim Owens and Ken a note to see if we can't get you set up. And that may have been one thing that we didn't do, but this would be kind of the next thing where you set up, you take our latest build and you install everything in a vCloud so you have everything there.
Oh, great.
And
so this vCloud thing is like an environment for testing, for running stuff and so on.
Yeah. So it's got like 5 or 6 machines in it, and then we install everything in here, so we have a fully self-contained running environment with different machines.
Like these ones, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all VApp machines, right?
Yeah.
So this is just like how we would work in production. They'd be all set up on hypervisor machines. They create the machines. They then run the installs, and they're all kind of hooked together. So let me send a note to Jim to see if we can't get you up, and then tomorrow we'll go through and we'll try to run the install of the thing
Somebody
that we
with.
just did.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm gonna go here and Kim Gonzalez, Jim and CC Jose Lopez. There you are. So this is your. Do you check your Agilysys email?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
You check your Agilysys email.
Uh, let me
Email.
check. Let me
Uh,
check.
anyway, I'm gonna CC you on this email. But
Yeah, because I'm not seeing anything. There's no new email apart from.
no, but I'm gonna put you on one, and Jim is probably gonna respond.
Okay.
So vCloud access for Jose Lopez. And, uh, yes. And what's your? It's Lopez J.
Yep.
Okay.
Lopez J.
Oh, I misspelled it.
No,
Okay.
no. LOPECJ.
Right, but spell check changed it to
Oh.
loss or something. It's some stupid thing. Give
Must be a Trump sympathist.
our analytics the cloud uh, is on the team for analytics and base. Um, this should be similar to for Berto. Thanks. Presser. Okay. So
Are you sharing your? Yeah. Okay. I see it.
I just sent in a mail, and so hopefully, am I still sharing my screen? No, I don't think so.
Yeah. You're doing it.
Oh, sweet. So anyway, I sent him an email. No wonder I've been seeing stuff on that. Okay, so I am sharing my screen. And I guess it tells me you're sharing your screen. So we're both sharing screens. That's weird. Um, so anyway, um, we'll see if they get back to us and get you access to that. So hopefully tomorrow we'll have access for you on that. We'll go ahead and then try to do with, get the ISO over there, and then try to do a build on all that stuff. Go through the actual install documentation. If you look in Confluence at the very, can you see my screen? Or did I can't?
Yeah. I can see it.
Okay, so analytics, oh no, it's Babbage release. There's, I think it's this Babbage documentation, and so it's guide for a fresh install. So this is the document that you want to look at that we're going to go through. And it kind of talks about everything. The only thing that's really not there is backup in analytics release. There's one of these things where we talk about Trying to find out where it is. It may not even. This is all the old stuff. It's. I'd have to find. I'm going to walk you through it. I did talk about it in one of my videos. It's probably like in this one. This is the old documentation, but there was one thing where we set up the LDAP server. We had a lot of steps in. Oh, yeah, it was this domain controller. So it was down in this 2024 installation guide where we set up the admin user. And we'll walk through that tomorrow before we do a BA server install. But you only really have to do that one time, is go in and make sure you know what the passwords are for these users. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. And so, but the other documentation that we looked at, which was this Babbage release, operations, install guide for fresh install, that's what we're going to be walking through.
Okay.
So, it's probably good enough for today, I guess.
Yeah. I think so. I need to do some documentation about 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 the servers and stuff, and send an email to Ryan. Well,
Okay.
so see you tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. We'll see you.
And thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, bye.